I did take it easy obviously from Valencia up until January, and then I've started my block for the next marathon and things just haven't been clicking, but these past few weeks have really been clicking, and I think this week has just been a lot better. Not all weeks are going to be like this. I'm just fortunate enough to record it at the right time, and yeah. And I was right. That was probably one of the toughest races I've ever had to do. Oh, it's been driving me up the wall.
Girl, you really got me going. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing now. Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night.
So, the training block for the Copenhagen Marathon 2026, I think it's fair to say it is completely different to the other ones that I've done for the other marathons. 100%. It's really hard to describe it because in my head I almost describe it as the worst training block I've ever done, but that almost seems really harsh. So just to give a little bit of context, the training block for this marathon was 16 weeks, and I'll put on the screen right now the total kilometres that are covered across those 16 weeks. This is actually inclusive of the marathon as well. And from looking at the total kilometres, it's really weird for me to say that it's the worst block that I've done, and it isn't really that much of a reduction from Valencia, but I think just the way that it was done in certain segments made it that way. And yeah, like I say, I'll go into detail about that now, but just wanted to give you a little bit of context before we deep dive into what was such a weird training block. So the first 2 weeks, we was off to a great start. As you can tell, I'm being sarcastic. Yeah, the first 2 weeks were a bit of a mess because I was experiencing some quite bad GI issues. Morning peeps, it is 9:14 a.m. on Saturday the 24th of January 2026, and yeah, usually at this time I'm out. I've probably been out for about 45 minutes. There's a slight change in plan this week. It's been a bit of a crap running week, especially for the first week of a new block. Yeah, I've been experiencing some really just uncomfortable stomach issues, but yeah, like my stomach just feels, it's like a burning sensation, and it's just really uncomfortable. Now, I've experienced some very light ones before, but these were a little bit different in the sense that my appetite was suppressed massively in comparison to what it usually is. The quality of those 2 weeks were very low, and like I say, because my appetite was so suppressed, I wasn't eating that much food, and training for a marathon and not eating enough food, it doesn't go hand in hand at all if you want to train properly with quality. I just remember feeling really flat and being 2 weeks into a marathon training block, a brand new training block, that's a recipe for disaster straight away. But I will say, after when those 2 weeks were done, I'd say from week 3 to week 9, I don't know what happened. I must have been in some purple patch, honestly, because that's the way I see it, just because of how quickly things changed and the quality of it, but well, for my standards. But yeah, from week 3 to week 9, 100% it is the best training that I've ever done. I was completing workouts that I found really difficult before quite easily, or felt like I could push myself a lot more in terms of like pacing and stuff. Another thing to note as well was I just felt like I was getting a lot stronger in the legs. Obviously not in the noodle arms, but in terms of the legs, like I felt like I was recovering really well from my sessions. Like I said in the week in the life video, I think I did cover it anyway, but usually on a Tuesday session when I put myself in the bin doing a interval session, the easier on the day after I felt like I was in the pits, but this time it just felt like a Monday easy run where I'm fresh. And even like the long runs when I was testing my goal marathon pace, like they felt the best I've ever felt. I felt like everything was just clicking so well. Yeah, with this block I could really eventually see the results coming across that 7-week period, and that made me really excited for my A goal race of the year aside from Copenhagen, which was the Berlin Half Marathon 2026. I got accepted through the ballot 9 months before, and I was buzzing. I was so excited, and given the fact that I felt like through that 7-week period, minus the first 2 weeks because they didn't really count, but that 7-week period I felt like I was in the best shape of my life, and I was so excited to see what I could run in the half marathon. I managed 1:21:25 on the day, but it was a really tough outing because the Wednesday during race week I got ill with a cold, and I was just absolutely gutted, like so gutted. The race turned out to probably be the hardest race I did to date, and I walked away from that race feeling quite unsure on how to feel, because I gave everything I could on the day, but I just didn't feel great, and I didn't know whether that was because I wasn't in the shape that I thought I was, or because of being ill and stuff like that. So week 11, the week following the Berlin Half Marathon, I decided to take a recovery week. So instead of doing 5 runs, I did 4 runs, but they were all at an easy pace. And by the end of week 11, I felt pretty good and pretty well recovered to go again. So going into week 12, Monday was fine, it was an easy run. And then Tuesday I had an interval session, which stupidly I did probably make too intense, to be perfectly honest. It was 5 by 1.6k at 8 out of 10 effort, so it was a pretty big interval session for me. And I remember I got 4 reps in. It was quite a hot day as well, I remember. And I started to feel my hamstrings getting a bit tight, and I was like, okay, this is a little bit weird, but I just assumed that it was just like general fatigue because I haven't had anything sort of serious happen before. And then I remember pushing on that last 5th rep, and the intensity of that tightness in my hamstrings got quite uncomfortable, and I could start feeling it in my quads as well, which, yeah, I had to cut that one short. And when I was doing the cool down, my legs felt absolutely battered, completely battered, and that left me thinking like, what has gone on there? And I found that the rest of the week, for week 12, even when I was walking, I just had this very faint tightness in the hamstrings. In the same week, I had a 32k long run, which was 16k easy pace, 16k at goal marathon pace, and I got myself to a point where my hamstrings felt pretty good on the morning. So whether it was stupid or not, I did do the session and I successfully completed it with my hamstrings only feeling something at 31k. And I did a very light mobility session afterwards, and then the next day, the hamstring issue went away, but something occurred in my knee, and that's where the training block really took a change, a massive shift. Again, probably stupid from my part, but I never actually got diagnosed with anything because I didn't go and see anybody. But from what I was researching, I experienced and got runner's knee 4 weeks away from the marathon. And oh my god, this was just out of space. Like, oh, it was bad. It was so bad. I just felt my knee on every single run I went on. Every single run I went on until the marathon. Week 12 was actually a week before my peak week, and week 13 was supposed to be my peak week. Because I was experiencing these issues, I had to basically put peak week away. And yeah, not do peak week essentially. And that was tough. That was really tough. For the last 4 weeks of the marathon training block, I did 0 interval running and only very light marathon training, or marathon specific pace training, and I found it tough. I was going on AI, Googling everything for multiple times a day. I was gone. After that session yesterday, it's cropped up again, and it's cropped up differently. There is not, to me now, there's no chance of a PB. So, very similar to the marathon training block, I found that race week was very weird as well, to be honest. I think it was one of those things where I felt like I had a decent segment those 7 weeks of just having really good training, and then just the last few weeks just didn't go to plan. And I think confidence-wise, it's quite hard to say because I know that I had very bad paranoia for Valencia. But in terms of like a proper confidence point of view, I wasn't up there with this one. I was fully of the understanding that taper tantrums were a real thing, especially going into Valencia and like Marino and stuff like that. But yeah, going into this one, I wouldn't say it was a whole different ball game. It was into a different degree, because Valencia, I think it was just like from a mental standpoint mainly, just because given the year that I had. But this time it was more of a physical, well, both physical and mental, just because as I was tapering aggressively, my body was recovering, and then I started to get almost like a new feeling in my knee. So a lot of the time when I was running and experiencing it when I was actually running without tapering and tapering aggressively, I'd almost get like sharp pains or sensations. I'd always feel it when I was going down the stairs. Like if I was almost doing like a quad stretch, I'd feel it then 100%, but I wouldn't feel it when I was walking, and then or when I was walking after the session. But then during these taper weeks, I was feeling it all the time, but it's transitioned from somewhere sharp or something sharp to just a constant dull ache all the time. And in my head, I didn't take that as a taper tantrum because I was experiencing some knee issues in the main block. So that made me think that this is a genuine issue. And as I say, constant just Googling, AIing, stressing, it was bad. I got myself into a place where, to be honest, the confidence wasn't very high, but it was almost like just take all the pressure off yourself and just go out there and go for it, because I had zero idea what shape I was in, given the fact that I had to taper so aggressively. I didn't do any proper intensity for weeks. I just had no idea, and I just decided in the end just to be like, for the marathon day, just go out there and just give everything, and then we'll see what we'll come out with. So this is actually the first time ever I've gone into a marathon, although actually I think I probably did it for Manchester as well, to be fair, because it was the first marathon, but there were no concrete time goals at all going into this marathon. I always said that I got a 3:07:52 in Valencia, and in Copenhagen, if I was to get anywhere between 3:02 and 3:04, I would be absolutely buzzing with that. In the training that I did, in terms of the good training, it was more like leaning towards a sub 3 in terms of like the intensity and the mileage and stuff like that. And given the fact that I ran a 1:21:25 half, it almost, just from researching and stuff, it almost makes me overqualified for a sub 3, but I don't believe any of that, to be honest. But the training that I was putting in, it almost looked as if I was going for sub 3. I knew that was never going to be the case for this one. So I think going into it, my main mentality was just to take the time goal off completely and just go into it stress-free. And the time that I would be genuinely ecstatic with would be anywhere between 3:02 and 3:04. So in terms of the carb load, I decided to do a 3-day carb load, and this time it was genuinely the easiest carb load that I've ever done. I was aiming for around 600 to 650, oh my god, I can't even speak, anywhere between 600 and 650 grams of carbs across those 3 days. And yeah, I found it so easy. I was just eating rice, bagels, squashes, drinking a lot of sports juices and stuff like that. It was the easiest I've ever found it, which is good because I always really dread the carb loading stages of the marathon. Yeah, we arrived into Copenhagen on the Friday, went to the expo to get the bib and stuff like that, and then Saturday it was just a shakeout and we went to go and see the FC Copenhagen Stadium, and then I was off my feet for the rest of the day, just eating carbs and just getting myself into a position where I could just give everything out there the next day on Sunday, the 10th of May 2026, where I'd be running my 5th marathon. Just, God, nah, it just doesn't make sense. My 5th marathon, which is the Copenhagen Marathon 2026. Right, good morning everybody. It is Sunday, the 10th of May 2026. It is almost time for the Copenhagen Marathon 2026. Got about, I think it's about 25 minutes now until marathon time. I'm just getting into my pen and we start soon. Come on. I'm not particularly confident about today, if I'm being completely honest, but I'm going to give it everything I've got. And that's all that matters, and just try and enjoy it. So, I need to have a last minute slash in it. I want to head 2 miles to get cast in it. My shit's funnier than any A class in it. I want to talk to the clown who was apologies down. I am £300 and take a class in it. Here we go! The Copenhagen Marathon 2026. It is time to put in the work. It's been an interesting training block to get to this point, but we're here now. Time to give it everything we've got. Come on then, let's go. The race started, and as anticipated, the first couple hundred metres I was very hypersensitive about the knee, just treading carefully, and of course during those couple hundred metres I felt nothing. It was just all in the taper tantrums and just being way too aware of what's going on. And in terms of the pacing strategy, just because my block looked like a sub 3 hour marathon, my goal was just to almost go out at sub 3 hour marathon pace and just see what happens. To be perfectly honest, it was just to go out there and just wing it pretty much.
Right, the first 5 kilometres done. I think I'm starting to get into a rhythm now. The first 5k was a bit just go with the flow. Probably a bit of a fast start from me, but yeah, legs feel a little bit flat.
I already felt something in my hamstrings. It was just something that was just very low in the background. I was a bit confused about that. I wasn't too worried. I felt like I dealt with it pretty well, but I had no idea what that was at the time. And looking back, I feel as though it was because I tapered so aggressively in terms of only doing very little amounts of marathon pace, completely stopping hard intervals. It was almost like my legs were a bit shocked that I was running at the pace that I was for that current amount of time. And to be honest, from that point, I mean, I knew that sub 3 wasn't on anyway, to be perfectly honest, but that sort of sealed it off for me. And from a mental point of view, I don't know whether this was the right thing to do, but I just thought there's this hamstring issue going on so early in the race, or there's a feeling of it so early, so I'm going to keep going at this sub 3 marathon pace, or whatever pace I'm going at, until the hamstrings start to get a little bit tighter. I'll keep going, and yeah, change my pacing and my thought process once that time comes, pretty much.
Right, 10k in about 42.5 minutes, give or take. Yeah, aerobically now I feel pretty settled. It's just, yeah, my legs still aren't fully as fresh and snappy. Not actually thinking too much about it in the knee. For sure, if it's a real problem, it will kick in towards the end. So, or in the latter stages. Yeah, feeling good so far. Managed to get a bottle of water, even though I thought it was just cups. But yeah, 10k deep, going well so far. Still a long way to go.
I felt like a lot of this marathon until a certain point. It was all pretty much the same, to be honest. The 5k mark felt, as I just described, the 10k mark felt very similar. 15k mark again.
Right, 15k in, same story really. Feeling pretty comfortable aerobically. Yeah, the legs again, still feel a bit meh. Just don't feel as snappy still. There's just a feeling in the hammies that hasn't really changed. 15.4k in an hour 5. The crowds have maybe go a bit quicker because it's just been mad in some places, but yeah, see you halfway.
The half marathon mark once again felt very similar.
Right then, through halfway in 1:29.45, feeling good. The legs haven't really changed, and yeah, aerobically I feel pretty good as well. So yeah, to be honest, I might try and crank it up a little bit potentially, but I think part of me will just want to try and keep this consistent. So these causing no issues, but still a long way to go.
Managed to get all my fueling down in terms of my salt sticks. So I was taking a salt stick every half an hour, or like a salt stick capsules, one of these things, every half an hour, and then I was also taking a Cis beta fuel gel every 30 minutes as well, and all that was going down really well. And one thing I was a little bit anxious about was the water stations, because this is the first time I've ever done a marathon where it's just cups, but I managed to do pretty well with that as well in terms of handling it. So I crossed the halfway mark at 1:29.45 and I felt pretty decent. So there were a little bit like, oh bloody hell, are we actually on for this? But I knew deep down like it wasn't on. I got to 30k and that's when the hammies wasn't my best mates.
Right, 30k deep, I can feel the hammies, so what I've decided to do is just honestly take it conservative to the finish, because I won't be able to sub 3, but I could not care less about that, to be honest. Right now I'm on for a big PB, so I know if I up it now, it's game over, so I'm just going to take it pretty conservative to the finish line, and then, well, try and keep it like this until like 36k. Yeah, apart from that, feeling good. Just hammies are getting tight, so right, let's knock it down.
Forget that for a sec. This was a massive turning point for me. I never ever thought something like this would happen. But once I got to 30k, I think it was around 31, 32, so a little bit lying. Jesus, lying a bit there, but I got to 32k and my mindset completely switched. I don't know whether it was because like I was running at sub 3 hour pace, but I knew that wasn't going to be on. And I knew I'd be happy with a 3:02 to 3:04 marathon anyway. And because I was running sub 3 for so long, or very close to sub 3 pace for so long, I knew I was on for a big PB no matter what, unless I was just to crash and burn. But yeah, got to about 32k and I was like, I don't care about the time goal anymore. And I just wanted just to take a step back and just soak in the whole experience without worrying about a time goal. I can't believe my head shifted into that place. But I think that stems from going into the marathon with no specific time goal and having done a marathon block that wasn't perfect. So I had less pressure on me. But yeah, I just took a step back and I was running with the biggest smile on my face, giving it the crowd, enjoying all the crowds and all the support. I almost got like a natural high from that anyway, and my pace didn't really change that much, even though I was planning to take it conservatively into the finish line. And if that experience wasn't enough, at 35k, so I experienced that natural high from 30k-ish to 35. But yeah, when I got to 35k, a new experience came where I hit the wall for the first time in the marathon.
Right, not long finished, 35k. Feeling cooked now. If I push, it's a wrap. But we're on for a really good PB still. So, yeah, I don't mind. So I'm just going to take it nice and easy now. And, yeah.
Oh, yeah, at 35k, I was still running around with a massive smile on my face, just enjoying myself. But it got to a point where, like, even if I wanted to speed up and try and make some more time, my legs they couldn't push any further. It was one of those where I would try to push a bit further, but my hamstrings were like having none of it. As soon as I was try and speed up a little bit, they'd get tighter, like way quicker. And then it just got to a point where I literally just couldn't go faster. At that moment in time, I did not care less. I just was still taking in all the crowds, enjoying myself, realising what I'm doing, and honestly, it just still blows my mind that I had that shift in mindset just so quickly. I just want to enjoy this last 7.2k, and even when I hit the wall, I was still just having so much fun. And I would 100% would say that this is the most fun I've ever had in a marathon. And I want to disclose, I 100% have fun in all my marathons. This is why I keep coming back to it and I love it so much. And I definitely might be taking this approach to every marathon. I think it was just because as things didn't go to plan in this one, I want to try and still make the most out of it. And I definitely think I did in this one.
37k deep, literally legs can't push any faster. The legs are cooked, just so tight. My hammies, I can't go any faster than this. But honestly, my mindset has just changed so much. I'm just running with a smile. Aerobically, I feel pretty good, but I just can't push any faster.
5k to go at the 37k mark. I was cooked. so cooked. Probably the most cooked I've ever been in a marathon. Because like I say, I just couldn't really do much apart from just keep going at just such a steady pace. Again, just had a massive smile, still taking everything in. But the one thing that I did notice, which was a little bit scary, to be honest, was I was seeing people in front of me drop like flies. In terms of some people almost looking like they were unconscious, weaving completely, like going over to the gates. Of course, I have my time goals and everything like that, but then it obviously changed at a certain point in the marathon. But I just looked at these people and I was like, oh my God, like this is mad. I haven't seen that many people drop, and it just made me realise sort of I do not want to be those people in the sense that I want to know my limits and not push myself that much. There probably would have been a high chance that if I was ignorant of what my body's telling me, I could end up like that. It was just, this whole experience was so mad, honestly. Aside from all that, I was still, again, in a very happy mindset, despite the fact I was having a great discussion with the devil. And again, the goal was still just to keep pushing as much as I could until we reached the finish line of my 5th marathon. Right, let's see how it goes. 5 days time, Copenhagen Marathon. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, I forgot what I was going to say, yeah. My prediction. 3:07:52 in Valencia. I have not got a clue because I don't know what shape I'm in. Don't know if my knee's going to play up. It's a really tough call, but I think I'm going to get 3:03:42. I'll be absolutely buzzing with that. Oh my god. No, I'm buzzing with that performance today. And weirdly, it was such a weird thing, and I'm really happy about it, was that my emotion, because I'm a very emotional runner. I care about the sport so much, I care about how I perform so much. But I just had this this turn where I was just like, I don't really care about the time that much anymore. I just took a step back, realised how long a marathon is and the achievement of a marathon, and just soaked it all in, and it was just class, absolutely class. I think I hit the wall because I couldn't push any further. I didn't have that lightning finish that I usually do, but look at that big burst. I just pretty much had the consistent pace all the way through. And even though I was taking it a little bit more conservative towards the end because of how tight my hamstrings were, it was still tough. It was still tough. But no, I'm just so happy. The block wasn't great. I think the good moments in the block were the best of the block, or the best I've ever had. But I missed peak week. Had 4 weeks off running. Well, not 4 weeks off running, but 4 weeks of really adjusted running because of the knee issue, the hamstrings. I didn't actually feel my knee at all today, which is, I hate the type of madnesses because they just get you going. But no, 3:03:17, 4 minute and 35 second PB from Valencia. But yeah, I think that's it. Gonna chill out now. Legs are battered. But yeah, new PB. Even though I didn't think I was gonna get it. Come on. It's been 13 days since I crossed the finish line at the Copenhagen Marathon 2026, and just what an experience. What a journey from start to finish, from the 2 shaky weeks at the start of the block to then doing 7 weeks of the best running that I've ever done. Doing the hardest race I've ever done with the Berlin Half Marathon, and then having a recovery week, nice and easy stuff. To then the last 4 weeks dealing with a knee issue which didn't even crop up during the marathon. Oh, I really could have done with someone telling me that it wasn't even going to crop up during the marathon. It would have done me a world of good, honestly. So much stress would have been mitigated, but it's all a part of the marathon game. It still blows my mind how taper pains, phantom pains, taper madness, paranoia is genuinely a thing. With having dealt with sharp sensations, not anything really painful, but like a feeling that doesn't feel right, and then having a completely dull ache, and then not feeling it on race day, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. Would it have caused an issue if I wasn't actually smart for once and deciding to taper aggressively? I guess we'll never know. But yeah, this whole experience has definitely been more of like an eye-opening experience. Definitely a big learning curve as well, and just, that's not even me including the race in general, just racing probably a bit too hard for the first 30k given the circumstances I was dealing with. So then having a complete change of mindset, which just doesn't make sense. I still haven't comprehended that, to be honest. It just doesn't make sense how all that's changed. And then hitting the wall but still running around with a big cheesy smile on my face, and then achieving a 4 minute and 35 second PB running 3:03:17. If you would have asked me then that I'd be running this time, you wouldn't believe you at all. Like, at all. That's the perspective I'm using right now. The fact that was the first marathon, running 3:46:09, to now fast forwarding, running my 5th. Bizarre. And the penultimate point of this Copenhagen Marathon 2026 debrief is, my Copenhagen Marathon finish line video corrupted. Gutted, honestly gutted. It was so weird because all the clips from the day saved perfectly, and then for some reason this one just decided to corrupt, and I clicked start and stop like I usually do, and then I just checked back afterwards when I got to the hotel, and the video just wasn't on the list. And then when we come back from Copenhagen, I tried relentlessly for a week to try and get this video back. I was trying all sorts of methods. I was actually talking to some specialists as well to see if they could do anything. But yeah, I just couldn't pull it off, and it was, really annoying. But at least we've got something back where, it just looks like I'm moving really slow. But yeah, I suppose there's better angles there instead of just being like the camera right up to my face. And to be honest, I didn't really have much energy towards the end, as you could probably tell with me moving like a snail. The wall was well and truly smashed into, to be honest. But yeah, it's one of those. It is what it is. I'm over it now. But yeah, there was a period where I was a little bit annoyed. But yeah, I always leave this bit to the end. I always mean to talk about it during the prep of the marathon, but I never do. But it's the shoe that I raced the Copenhagen Marathon in, and it is the the Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 4s. During the run, it felt great. Like, it felt like a really, really good shoe, but the recovery process of this marathon has been, I'd probably say, the longest that I've ever had. And that's mainly because I felt my Achilles quite a bit, which seems to be a common experience with this running shoe. But yeah, I started feeling my Achilles a lot more post-marathon. I do like the shoe, and I definitely will continue to use it for things like 5k, 10k and half marathon. But I just won't be using this again for the marathon, I don't think, because it's made me a little bit crippled, to be honest. But yeah, that was just my experience with it. So, the plans for the future. As I said in the Copenhagen, no, wrong video, mate. As I said in the Valencia marathon video, this year is really, really stacked. So for the near future, to be honest, I haven't really got that much planned. I've got a half marathon booked for July, I think it's the 5th, and that is just a race that I do every year, the Birmingham Black Country Half Marathon. So it's literally a half marathon race completely on the canal from Wolverhampton to Birmingham. Yeah, so I'm actually going back to Copenhagen in September. I think it's September the 20th or the 21st, I'll put it up anyway. But I'm doing the Copenhagen Half Marathon, which, given how positive my experience in Copenhagen was for the marathon, I'm really excited to go back and do that. And then the next big race, which is 2 weeks after the Copenhagen Half, so Copenhagen Half won't be a full effort, is the Cologne Marathon 2026 on October 4th. Really looking forward to that one as well. That will be marathon number 6. Crazy. Oh my God, it just doesn't make sense. And then whether it's a stupid idea or not, who cares? But in 3 weeks' time after the Cologne Marathon, we're going back to Valencia to do the Valencia Half Marathon 2026. yeah, a lot going on, but I've got a secret goal of trying to do all the super halves, and given how hard it is to get into them nowadays, I've been really lucky with ballots and being able to get entries, so I just feel like whilst I might not be the best times I get in those races, I don't know if I'll ever get an opportunity to do them again. So yeah, that is the plan, and that is pretty much the year wrapped once all those are ticked off, and then yeah, we'll be looking into 2027, but hopefully I'll be recording a few more videos just covering all those events. But yeah, really exciting times, really looking forward to it all. And yeah, probably thankfully for you lot, that is the end of the video.
No, never mind, just one last thing, I promise. I was going to add in another cheesy line about the journey, just being like how I was bouncing between multiple stages, saying that I was going to do well, to then thinking I was going to do really bad with the knee issue, to the point where I even thought I was going to DNF the marathon. But that's not the important thing, I've pretty much almost covered that. But I wanted those specific words to be in. But no, the reason why I'm recording this bit is, whilst it was a very big day for me in terms of my own performance and stuff like that, I can't not go and say about the fact that it was my sister's second marathon. She ran Valencia with me. Yeah, she also ran Copenhagen with me, and mate, a 23-minute PB in 5 months is a genuine joke. But yeah, absolutely insane. So just wanted to put that in there. So yeah, I can round off the video now. Cut back to me in my room yesterday to finally round off this video for you lot.
Thank you so much for watching the video. Yeah, been an absolute roller coaster of a ride. Just truly an unforgettable experience from the block, the race, and the post-marathon stuff. Just, yeah, what an experience. I will see you more than likely when I do my next race, which is, yeah, July the 5th, July the 4th, I don't know which one, but the Birmingham Black Country Half Marathon. But if not that, then it will probably be after the Copenhagen Half. So yeah, thank you all again, and I will see you very soon, maybe. Come on.